If everyone is take a seat, you want to start. And if you have any questions, Matt Epstein is circulating or put it on the desk here. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association meeting. Tamara in the back. Tamara, Assistant City Attorney. Could you please quiet them down in the back there?
Very rowdy.
A very rowdy group. No. We don't want you to come up here. We just want you to take control. Shut everyone up. Okay. We want to start with an explanation of something that happened recently in the Ventura Canyon area. Jules will explain briefly in the meeting he was at, and I'd like to invite the police officers up here because they'll be commenting in more detail. Come on up. Jules?
Okay. About a week ago, I attended the Ventura Canyon V5 Neighborhood Watch meeting at an absolutely glorious home on Ventura and Dixie Canyon anyway. So, this meeting was the biggest one I've ever attended. It was close to 200 people in attendance. And it was put together by two people, very talented people that have always been involved with Neighborhood Watch. Mary Baldwin and Randy Lieberman. Where are you? Both of you, stand up. I gotta tell you, they put together a meeting. The owner of the property, this is on Valley Vista and Dixie Canyon. Ventura Canyon, excuse me. And it was a big house. They had food like you can't believe. It was like a party. But most importantly, our senior league officers were there. The new captain was there. I don't remember his name.
Captain Casey.
Captain Casey. Is he going to be here tonight?
No.
Okay. And ACS, the people from ACS Security was there. Who am I missing? David Rue, our councilman, and Alice Roth, of course, was there. It was very well attended. And it was a special meeting because of the problem that they had on Ventura Canyon, which I'm going to let our senior lead officer talk about. But I got to tell you, if anybody lives in that neighborhood and you don't get involved with the neighborhood watch, you're missing out, because that makes a difference in our well-being in our community. And by the way, while I'm at it, and I've preached this in the past, there are too many people that are negligent with their mailboxes. They think that they're safe, and they're not. They are not safe. Where are you, Chuck? Chuck Betts. Get over here. So I'm telling you now that if you don't have a proper mailbox, a locking mailbox that is approved by the mail department, then you're leaving yourself wide open to identity theft. Now, Chuck is going to tell you a quick story about what just happened when it comes to this.
Yes, the apartment building, 2 doors off of Ventura Boulevard, had its mailboxes broken into on Mammoth Avenue, just 1 block west of Woodman. The mailbox banks, the postman, he puts his key in, unlocks it, and it falls down, and both of them, all of them were open. They didn't break into the individual mailboxes, but they took all the mail out of the boxes. And that this is the second time that that has happened in that building. And the building across the street from me, they have 2 signs up in on their door. And I went over to see what they were. And it mentioned that people breaking into mailboxes. Now, this has been going on in Hollywood for quite some time. But this is the first time in the valley. And whether it was there or not, you can't tell, because normally I think they lock the box. They have that key that opens that box. It opens the security door to the apartment building as well. So make sure you pick up your mail as soon after the mailman is there, if at all possible.
Thank you. And by the way, if you don't want to change your mailbox, get yourself a P.O. box. But whatever you do, get rid of those old-fashioned mailboxes, because it's not a question if you're going to be robbed, it's a question when. Thank you.
Okay, so can you explain what happened and what's the takeaway?
Thank you, Jules and Richard. Good evening, everyone. I'm Officer Barry, along with my partner, Saldana. We were at the neighborhood watch meeting last week regarding the incident. It was on the 3900 block of Ventura Canyon Avenue. First off, let us preface, it was a very unusual incident. We usually don't see these type of incidents. There was a home invasion robbery is how we classified it. And we can't get too much into the details. It's an ongoing investigation. But to give you guys kind of in a nutshell, there was a lady that opened her front door, and there was three suspects on her porch that proceeded to force their way into the house. Once inside the house, they demanded property, and they took some valuables from the house before fleeing. The suspects are still outstanding at this time, and it's, like I said, it's an ongoing investigation, and the detectives are currently working on the leads that they have. The takeaway from all this, obviously, is it serves as a daily reminder to be aware of your surroundings, especially when it starts getting dark outside. This did happen at dusk when the sun was going down. It was about dark at the time. So always, take a minute. If utilize porch lights, motion detector lights. We always encourage folks to light up the front of their house the best that they can. Criminals like to work in the dark, so the lighter you can light up your neighborhood, the better. And as we learn more information, we'll pass it along at next month's meeting when we see you guys next month as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Lieutenant John Eisen and Bobby Anderson. Bobby Anderson is not going to be talking about the subject he normally talks about, which is transit, because we have the expert on transit here to address it. But Bob, what other hints and goings-on should we be aware of?
Thank you, everybody. Monday, I had the opportunity to attend the grand opening of the new underpass between the Orange Line and the Red Line, the Lancashire Station on Lancashire Boulevard. People had to walk across the street. It was a traffic menace. Metro just opened Monday, the underground connection, so now if you ride the Orange Line, you can go underground and go right into the station without crossing the street. It's really nice. And to get there, I learned something new. There's Mr. Frank Ching here tonight. He's from Metro. He's their traffic manager. He told me there's a huge Metro parking lot for the Orange Line on Sepulveda. It's behind the gym that's across the street from Costco. And I drove up there at about 10:10 in the morning, got a great parking place, and took that all the way over to the Orange Line and the Red Line at Lancashire. So if you're ever looking to try to use rapid transit, you're worried about parking, there's an actual
How long
parking
did it
space.
take you to walk from the parking lot to the Orange Line station?
I went slow. It took about 12 seconds. So,
No.
it was about 100 feet. So it's pretty good.
But they don't want you parking there?
It's a Metro lot. In fact, it's so underutilized that part of it's being rented to Keys for auto storage because we don't use it. So take advantage of it. It's also free. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
First, I'd like to introduce Jill Croce, who will give an update on the Chase Knowles Apartments. Do you know where the Chase Knowles Apartments are? Directly east of here, where we are. Jill?
Hi everyone, thank you. I'm a longtime resident at Chase Knowles. I've, been there practically since I was born. My grandmother was there, so I've been around the neighborhood forever. I want to thank you all for the support you've given us through the last 17 years. We're kind of down to the crunch right now. As many of you know, the property was slated to be raised in 2010. We saved it with the help of Mike Fuhrer and the LA Conservancy. We've gone through several battles throughout the years, and in 2006, the developer got the entitlements to raise the garages and build 6 new apartments, 141 units throughout the spine. No one's had the money to build. It's been on hold. The new developers have deep pockets. It's Waterton Residential and Core. They are moving forward with their plans. We've been doing as much as we can with your help, calling Rue's office for the past year. What they're doing right now is, under the guise of what's called a tenant habitability plan, a THP, they are going to be upgrading the electrical and plumbing in the existing buildings. What they're doing in order to do that is knocking down all of the garages because they have to dig a 3-foot trench to pull in new utility lines. In essence, what they're doing is building out the infrastructure for new development. They are then turning around and they are charging the residents a 10% rent increase. Had we actually been getting a benefit, like the new pipes, we will have a benefit there. The new electricity, they're putting cut-ins for future tenants to have a dishwasher, dryer, and a washer and dryer. The new tenants, although they're getting a 10% rent increase, are not getting any of those. In addition, they'll be raising rents for putting in a pool and other amenities. The garages, the first round of garages are slated to go down next week. We're doing everything we can to try to postpone that. Please continue to call the council office. We're doing fundraising to try to hire an attorney. We found a wonderful attorney that's had very good success in the past. We have a sister facility in Venice called Lincoln Place, you may be familiar with. He was able to put packages together for the residents in the neighborhood and preserve those buildings. We hope to raise funds and hire him. I have some information here. I also want to let you know that regarding the garages, I've been reading the links on Nextdoor, and there's questions about parking. And Rue's office is saying that the developer says that there's 2 parking spots or only 1 parking spot for 2-bedroom apartments. There's really only 1. You will be seeing parking within your community. The developer is lying. If you want more information, please let me know. I will be around.
So after the meeting.
After the meeting, anybody who wants information, we have several people who are here holding flyers, and we'll be out back. We'll provide you detailed updates. Thank you so much for your time.
John? Okay.
Well, I have good news. The interim control ordinance, the ICO, with respect to mansionization, that we've been talking about for the last year, was passed on June 29th of this year. The ICO went into effect in all of Sherman Oaks, all within the neighborhood council of Sherman Oaks boundaries. So this is the largest area in the city that has protections against McMansions. So any developer who files plans on or after June 29th of this year is subject to the new rules. And what do the new rules do? It will reduce somewhat the maximum size and mass of a home that can be built. So there's more good news. The city is moving along with a modification of those, affecting those areas that don't have interim control ordinances. And it appears that what was passed by the Planning Commission is even better than the ICO rules that we have. And in addition to that, the planning department may have a smorgasbord of other choices for neighborhoods in protecting against these massive homes. So it looks like in the future, we in Sherman Oaks will have a choice of which rules would apply in Sherman Oaks, and we will never see again, hopefully in our lifetime, these gigantic McMansions in our community.
Thank you. Any questions, please speak to John after the meeting. If I could have any deputies or candidates for office come up to introduce themselves. And while they're coming up here, on the table are forms concerning our Facebook. If you participate in Facebook, please quote, like, unquote, the association and get more up-to-date information. We publish information 3 or 4 times a week. Okay, why don't we have everyone introduce themselves?
30 seconds?
30 seconds.
As quick as I can. My name is Mitchell Schwartz, and I'm running for mayor of Los Angeles in March of next year. I have been here before, I'll be here again. The reason I'm running in 30 seconds or less is that I think there's been a slow and steady decline in Los Angeles in the services that are provided. We see it with the increase in homelessness. It's an epidemic. The decaying infrastructure where the roads and the streets are unpaved and the parks are continuing to decay. We have continuing problems with the Department of Water and Power. We have bad development that's destroying neighborhoods and that's replacing affordable housing with luxury housing. We need new development, not the type we're getting. Finally, there's been a 40% increase in violent crime in the last 2 years, 40% increase. We need more police. This is while the economy has grown and there's 4.9% unemployment, 76 straight months of job expansion, stock market at record heights. We have added under the Garcetti administration in the last 4 years, 22% increase in the budget, $1 billion.
And your name is?
Mitchell Schwartz for mayor. We can do better. We definitely can do better.
Thank you. Thank you. Next. Oh, are people talking back? Oh, come on. They're not rude like that, are they, Matt? Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is Stephen Butcher. I work for Assembly Member Dre Nazarian. We are the state assembly member for this area. So any state issues, state concerns, state issues, please feel free to call me, email me, whatever. And then just one quick event we have coming up. If you're a business owner or you own property, we have an ADA workshop coming up, an Americans with Disability Act that we're partnering with the Senator's office with. Next Thursday in the evening at the State Building. So in case you want your building or your business to be ADA compliant, stop on by and come learn about it.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Benita Trujillo, and I'm with Supervisor Sheila Keel's office. We moved into the San Fernando Zev Yaroslawski Family Support Service Center on Sataquay Van Nuys Boulevard. Please feel free to call our office if you have any county-related issues. Thank
How long have
you.
you been around?
I worked with former Supervisor Zev Yaroslawski for 15 years, so I've been with the county 17 years and counting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, good evening. I'm Barry Worth-Gergen with Senator Bob Hertzberg's office. I just wanted to give a little plug for next month. Senator Hertzberg will be the speaker, and we hope you'll all come out to hear him speak about water and some upcoming stuff in California politics, and it's going to be great. We're also looking forward to being out at the Sherman Oaks Street Fair in October, so we'll see you then.
Okay, what should we tell your boss about you?
What should you tell your boss about me? Tell him that I gave every single one of you a hug.
I'm John Off from Congressman Brad Sherman's office. I'm here to see Phil Washington this evening and hear all the good things that are going on at Metro. And so, without further ado.
And actually, your boss may be here, I think next month, as a drop-in. Oh, great. So, next, who wants to come next? Kim, come on up, Kim. Come on, just give it along.
Hi everybody, I'm Tamar Gallupson. I'm
Why
a
are you
deputy city
giving?
attorney. I have a stress fracture, which is why I'm limping around. It's very hot and uncomfortable, so be
How'd
very
you
nice
get
to
it?
me. I was running and I hurt my
Hey,
foot.
what's the takeaway? Don't run. Go on.
No, that's not the takeaway. Let's get better shoes. So I'm a deputy city attorney. I'm the neighborhood prosecutor for Sherman Oaks. I think you guys all know that. I'm working on a lot of the stuff that I always work on. I think the most interesting thing right now that I'm working on is we developed a partnership with the San Fernando Valley Community Mental Health Center, and they do a lot of our outreach for homeless people who suffer from mental illness. And they have been now contacting contacting me when they have a client who's successfully working with them, who's qualified for housing, but has either an open case or warrants, and the person wants that cleared up before they go into housing. So we've been doing like a trial project where the person is coming to court with their caseworker and meeting with me and the public defender, and we're trying to resolve some of these cases. And so far, we've resolved 8 of them, and all 8 of the people are successfully housed and have not come back. So we're very happy about that. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and Alice Roth, everybody.
Alice Roth, Councilmember David Drew's office. Good to see you all this evening. Got a bit of good news as far as our traffic on Ventura Boulevard. We've got the council member has allotted some funds for the white glove officers in the morning over on Beverly Glen and Ventura, as well as Sepulveda and Ventura. So for the next few months, I want to say.
Permanent. Did you say permanent?
Can't do it. It's funding, as always, you know. And,
Pay more taxes.
and I brought a few.
No, I thought, wait, let me just focus on, is it a test or is it 3 months and they're gone?
It's pretty much like a test, just to see.
Okay, so we may have one.
We may.
If there's enough lobbying by the people in this room.
Right, and Councilmember Koretz has also helped with that, so we're working jointly.
And your boss is speaking in November.
Yes.
So these people
Yes.
here will be here to lobby for white gloves and Ventura Boulevard. Because they're all over the west side. They're all over the west side.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
We'll talk
okay.
about that one. And I did bring an annual report from the council members. You might want to pick one up. I brought little notebooks for everyone and little mints. And we want to thank you for all the animal service donations that you brought over to our office. And if you continue, we can help support the East Valley Animal Shelter. Any questions for me? I'll be right over. But this is, oh yes, oh that's right. Jules is going to pass around a clipboard. If anyone wants to join and receive our newsletter, Councilmember Rue, please sign up so that we can get it out to you. And I'd like to introduce our legislative deputy, Justin Ornstein. Justin, want to say a few words?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Ornstein. I'm a Sherman Oaks resident as well as the legislative deputy for Councilmember David Rue. I work with the council member in council chambers as well as staff him in public works and in transportation committee. If you have any specific questions related to white glove officers or any of the improvements that we're thinking about for the Sherman Oaks community, feel free to reach
So
out.
how can you help these people?
By taking orders from Ron over there.
Okay, well, what about the other people?
Now, we've been working hand in hand with the community. We've been on some of the traffic improvements that we're incorporating in the hillsides. Alice headed up a traffic working group that met on a monthly basis. A lot of that effort is going to be instilled within the new transportation committee of the neighborhood council now. But we're very excited to continue working with the homeowners association as well as the neighborhood council on further traffic improvements.
Thank you very much. Okay, talking about traffic improvements. The subject tonight is a measure that, did I forget about you?
You always forget about me.
Why? I know, it's generally John Eisen I forget about. Tonight, I was just, okay, march along on developments.
Thank you, stranger. The sun-kissed EIR has come out, and it's 2,000 pages. And we'll try to post a link to the city site where you can download it. I'm told there are copies in the libraries as well. The one interesting thing, I haven't read it all, I read certain sections. One interesting thing is that there is an alternative to the main project, which reduces the square footage by a significant amount. And so I think that's the well, if you don't like this, we'll give you that. And so from my point of view, I don't like this, so maybe we'll get something a little bit smaller. The other thing is there's a rumor going around that the Trader Joe's might be moving across the street into the Sunkist area. It's not official, but I've been told by those in the know that it's a good rumor. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you. Sorry for getting right. So, okay, so back to transportation, back to the November 8th ballot. There's going to be a number of items on the ballot requesting bonds, tax increases. One of the important ones for everyone to focus on is the measure that would increase the sales tax from 9% to 9.5% for funding for a number of things in addition to rapid transit. But our speaker this evening is going to explain, what is on the ballot and why it's important, and give his thoughts as to how you should vote on it. And then we've had questions that we've collected, and then we're going to be asking questions. We figured we were going to discuss this issue, we might as well discuss it with the #1 person at Metro, and that's our speaker this evening. I'd like to introduce Phil Washington, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Metro for LA County.
Thank you so much, Mr. Close, for having me here, and thank all of you for coming out this evening. I'm going to talk a little bit about the ballot measure, but before I do that, just a little bit of background about me. I am originally from the city of Chicago, Illinois. We got a Chicago Bears fan here. All right. Grew up in public housing in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago. I joined the United States Army at 17 years old, stayed for 25 years on active duty, retired as a command sergeant major, and got into the transportation industry and was the CEO in Denver, Colorado before coming here to Los Angeles County. Been here for about 16, 18 months right now. So happy to be here in Los Angeles County with you and the Sherman Oaks area. Let me talk just a little bit. I want to give a short overview because we want to get to questions, I believe. As Mr. Close mentioned, we are proposing to go to the ballot on November 8th with a sales tax measure that will fund transportation infrastructure in Los Angeles County. And the first 40 years of that measure, we estimate that it will generate about $120 billion in sales tax revenue. Let me talk about the projects that we have proposed to complete with a certain percentage of the revenue that we will raise. We used what we call a bottoms-up process to develop this plan. We went out to the 9 sub-regions in LA County. There's 9 sub-regions called Council of Governments, or COGS, in Los Angeles County. And we went to them and we asked them what particular transportation projects in your region are important to you. We asked them to identify those projects and to prioritize those projects and then send those projects to us. Now we gave them dollar targets, both current year dollar targets and year of expenditure dollar targets, and we asked them to submit their projects to us. We gave them those targets based on population and employment in the various regions. We received all those projects from those council of governments, those sub-regions. We established some performance metrics or how to evaluate those projects. We evaluated the projects individually and against the whole system. We sequenced those projects in terms of when they could be built, with regard to the money that we would be generating, and we put out a list in terms of the sequence of the projects. A true bottoms-up process where we did not just sit in our headquarters building and decide which projects should be done. This actually came from, in your case, the Valley Council of Governments or the San Fernando Valley COG. And so we've put on your desks some of the fact sheets that show all the projects. Won't go through all of those projects, but they're on your tables. The other thing that we have in this plan is something called local return. Local return, we have 88 cities in the county. And so we included in this plan monies that we would give back to the 88 cities. And so I mentioned the $120 billion that this investment would generate. We are giving back almost $20 billion to the cities. In the very first year of this measure, if and when it passes in November, $56 million will go back to the city of Los Angeles in the first year. And so almost $20 billion going back. What will that money be used for? It's designed to fix the local streets. There was a speaker earlier talking about the streets and the sidewalks. That money will go to the local streets and potholes in the various cities. And so that is a slice of that expenditure pie. So it's not just the projects. The other slice of this plan that we identified was keeping fares low or affordable for seniors, the disabled, and students. And so there is a big portion, and this is in your fact sheet as well, there is a significant portion of the dollars, maybe it's not in this fact sheet, but we'll get you that number, is $2 to $3 billion to keep fares affordable for seniors, disabled, and students as well. We have money in this plan for state of good repair. State of good repair is when you build something, you want to keep it in a good state of good repair. And so you wouldn't buy a car and never change the oil. And so this asset management or state of good repair is a slice that we have identified in this measure to take care of what we build for the next 40 to 50 years, in addition to the local return. We have money in this plan for active transportation, bikeways, bike paths, all of those things. It is the most comprehensive transportation plan in the country that we are proposing right here in Los Angeles County. I was asked to go to Seattle and talk about what we are proposing with 10 other CEOs from transportation agencies, Seattle being one that is going out for a ballot measure. Many of those areas, metropolitan areas, are actually following our lead on the plan that we have proposed here. So let me talk briefly about some of the projects right here in the San Fernando Valley, because I know that is of great interest to you. Right at the beginning, I mentioned the local return that we give back to cities. For the life of the 40-year period, about $3.5 billion will come back to San Fernando Valley from that local return that I mentioned that goes back to the 88 cities in the county. So San Fernando Valley would get about $3.4 billion. Some of the projects that we have identified, the Orange Line Bus Rapid Transit, which is very, very popular. We would do improvements to the tune of about $286 million. We would start that immediately. So what are those improvements? Right now, if you know the Orange Line, we need to do some grade separations. We will do aerial grade separations. They will go above the ground. We will start on those immediately. That will speed up the Orange Line transit way significantly. Later on in the plan, we will convert that Orange Line bus rapid transit to light rail. That is in the plan. We will do a bus rapid transit connector from the Orange to the from Orange and the Red Line to the Gold Line in Pasadena. We will do a dedicated bus rapid transit to the Gold Line. We have several other projects. The complete LA River bike path, we will start on that. If you know the bike path that traverses from north to south in LA County is about 53 miles, I believe. We will complete that whole bike path and walking path. We will spruce that up. We will work the Sepulveda Pass. Now, we are not talking about building additional lanes on the Sepulveda Pass. We are talking initially, most likely, we need to talk to the private sector. First of all, this is a P3 opportunity, or a public-private partnership opportunity, where we can bring the private sector in to accelerate what we would like to do on the Sepulveda Pass, which is likely do some type of managed lane project and use, or a toll bond, and use that revenue to build a tunnel or a subway through the pass. And we think we can accelerate that project. We know about the 405 and the Sepulveda Pass. I think everybody in the country knows about the travails of the Sepulveda Pass. We look to fix that in this plan. There's quite a lot of other things. There's $500 million worth of bus rapid transit projects that the sub-regions are eligible to participate in. There is quite a lot in this plan for San Fernando Valley. The last thing I'll talk about before we can open it up to questions is our ability to manage such a massive program, because we've been asked, well, how do you manage such a massive program? We will be briefing the LA Metro Board in October on how we intend to manage and implement this program. We will brief that. I mean, what resources do we need? What consultants do we need? What additional full-time employees do we need? We'll brief that in October. We'll talk about the job creation. The Los Angeles EDC, or the Economic Development Corporation, came out with a report about 2 weeks ago talking about this new measure would create 465,000 new jobs in the first 40 years. And so we're talking about job creation, we're talking about an economic engine. So we will brief this, what we call a program management plan, to our board and to the public in October on how we are going to manage this program. Some of the things that we have embedded in this program is provisions and potential to accelerate projects. We believe that we will have opportunities to accelerate projects in this program without negatively impacting other projects. And that is very, very important. We believe we can do that with the help of federal grants, state grants, cap and trade, public-private partnerships. And so we have provisions and language in this plan that provide us the opportunity to accelerate various projects, to include projects here in San Fernando Valley. I mentioned keeping fares affordable for seniors and students and the disabled. People ask us about that quite a bit, and some parts of the region are sort of disappointed that some of their projects are not in the first 2 years of the program. What I always say is that there's something in this plan for everyone. When we talk about keeping fares affordable for seniors, students, and disabled, the seniors and the disabled and the students are not limited to one part of the county. They're all over the county. And we're talking about keeping fares affordable for all of them. Some of the things we have talked about around the county What we've been trying to do is clarify misinformation that is out there. And one of the big misinformation pieces that is out there is that we are going to somehow delay the Measure R projects. Measure R was a sales tax in 2008 to build various projects. And so we are not delaying any Measure R projects. As a matter of fact, we are accelerating Measure R projects with this program. In fact, with all the projects that we're looking at across the program, with this particular initiative, we are accelerating all of those projects by a total of 45 years. So we're moving up projects by 4, 5 years, some of them a total of 45 years, we're accelerating projects. So with that, I think I'll stop and maybe address some questions.
Okay, and Madam Epstein has some questions from the audience. And just to clarify, it needs a 2/3 approval, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, 2/3, okay. Matt?
Okay, thank you. So some of the questions I'm not going to get to tonight because we have a lot of questions. Some of the questions I'm not going to ask because these were questions that are more or less are directed to the council office, so I will forward those over to them and they'll get back with you. So these questions are not asked by me, they're asked by members of the audience, so I will, if I have their names, I will ask them to raise their hands and you can address them and not me. Got it?
Yes, I got it.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so it's interesting with this topic. We received, the board, Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association board received more emails on this topic than on any other topic that we've had in a long time. So it's a topic that's very close to our heart. And we have a small audience tonight, probably because of the heat, and probably because it's the end of vacation, the start of the school year. But again, we received a lot of emails, so I'm going to summarize some of these as well, and I'm going to weave into some of them as far as the questions from the audience here. A bunch of the questions that we, and I'm paraphrasing and summarizing these, but quite a few questions came from our membership. What has Metro done to guarantee that each listed system in Measure M ordinance is actually started and completed on schedule so that the Valley and all the other areas can be sure that their promised systems will actually be realized? I mean, the Valley especially has been shortchanged in the past where they've been promised things such as some of the things that you've been talking about, and then when it comes to our turn, the money's gone.
Well, a couple of things. We have, about 6 to 8 months ago, we initiated what I call a shovel-ready plan. This shovel-ready plan gets projects ready for construction. The orange line improvements where I talked about the aerial, the grade separations, that is a perfect example of shovel-ready that we have already started making those grade separations shovel-ready. So we've already started that. The assurance in terms of the projects is we have an oversight provision in the plan. Measure R had an oversight provision. They had 3 judges that met, I think, twice a year to make sure that, that Metro was complying with the plan. We are proposing in this measure 7 oversight individuals, professionals with expertise that will report out to the public. They are independent. They will report out to the public on what we're doing with every project that's out there. The program management plan that I mentioned that I'm going to brief to the board in October will outline everything we're going to do. We're going to look at 10-year increments. It's going to outline everything that we're going to do. There'll be checks and balances. There'll be oversight. There's also a 10-year comprehensive assessment of the entire plan, in addition to the 4 times a year that this compliance group, oversight group, will get together.
Okay. Okay. What does LA Metro know that no one else knows that makes them think the patrons will actually pay to use the system without the most basic restrictions? Why should we pay higher taxes if the patrons are not? And you gave a list of seniors and students and everybody who's going to get low rates, which they should get low rates. But address that if you would.
The turnstiles, no turnstiles.
Right.
The lack of turnstiles.
Oh, you talking about in terms of fare enforcement and that sort of thing?
Yeah, there's no one in any of the stations that actually enforce the rider's pay.
Right. Actually, we do have people on the trains checking fares. Now, do we have a barrier system like Chicago or New York? No. Most of your newer properties, transportation properties, are getting away from the barrier system. To harden your system costs millions of dollars, millions, to harden a transportation system like you see in New York with big gates and all of that. And so most of the systems, I won't call them an honor system, but they are fair, they are enforced, the fares are enforced by law enforcement.
Okay, how many folks here, just a show of hands, ride the subway? How many folks here have ever been approached to ask for proof? Yes. You have? Yes. Wow.
Multiple times.
Wow, okay. Yeah, there you go, it works.
Well, we're gonna check you when you are.
Okay. How do I do with my glasses? Here we go. All right. Good job there. Why aren't okay? Well, this was the ask last time as far as the live people. But let's talk about the subway stations themselves. There's two people, Joan Smith. Are you here? Joanne? No? Mike Z's here. Okay. So both these folks, Joan asked, could you please have better directions and signage on how to use the fare machines? And Mike is also saying, which he's got a great idea, is there a possibility to put a how-to video on YouTube showing how to use these machines? They are confused.
Yes, they are. They are. And we need to do a better job of signage. We need to do a better job of signage around our stations. The how-to video, I believe there's one up on our website right now. And we'll check that out. We have Metro staff here that thought they were not going to do any work tonight. But we'll check that out. We want to update that video, though. I saw it probably about 3 weeks ago, and we need to update it because we need to, teach people how to use it. But we'll look at that. The signage we definitely have to improve.
Okay, Nancy Krupa, right here. Okay, and again, we got a bunch of questions asking for additional parking spaces, and so one of the folks talked about the huge change in ridership in DC when the parking was finally approved. But Nancy asked, there's an issue regarding insufficient parking at the train and Orange Line stations, but at Sepulveda Orange Line station, half of the parking lot is fenced off and used by Keys Motors for automotive storage. How long will this be going on for?
Yeah, let me touch on parking. We have our parking guy here too. He may want to add to this. We've got 22,000 parking spaces in our lots in LA County. We've got about 1,100, I think, in North Hollywood, 827 or so at Universal. What we're trying to do is do a better job of managing the parking and pushing people to the lots that are less than 100%. And so Frank Chang is here. Why don't you comment just a bit on that?
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for having me here. I want to let you know that Orange Line is actually the line that we have the most parking capacity. But when I took on this job, I noticed that we haven't done a very good job actively managing it and also promoting it, which means let people know where the parking space is. In the very near future, I actually have a project undergoing right now, thanks to Phil's help. We have a real-time car count system will be installed at all 87 parking facilities, which is include the Orange Line, Red Line, and all the stations we have parking lot facility. What it does is, it will be able to tell us in real time how many parking spaces and where is the closest parking space is. So, like what Bob have experienced, we can direct people to utilize the Orange Line spaces before everybody fight traffic and get traffic jam and run to North Hollywood or Universal. So we can spread out. That is our short-term plan. A parking master plan is also undergoing right now, and we'll implement different type of pilot program with innovative ideas to first manage it, and we also understand there is a capacity that when we reach a certain point, that if we still continue running in 90+% of some location, that of course capacity increase is also under the consideration.
Now, Santa Monica has a great parking management plan. Are you familiar with that?
I was the guy. Yeah, he's the guy.
He's the guy?
I was the city parking administrator for the city of Santa Monica before I joined Metro.
They have a great plan.
Yeah. So yeah, I was the guy, and I was looking at the guy who built that colorful garage too. So I'm glad that you brought up Santa Monica. Before we opened Expo 2, 17th Street in Santa Monica only have 67 parking spaces. We were all concerned about, do we have enough parking space for our transit system? What we have implemented there is pilot a program that requires TEPCA identifier. What means is people have to ride the transit system to use our parking space. So which requires simply after you ride a train or before you ride a train, you go to a machine, tap the system, show that you have ride the system and you're a true transit user. So guess what? 67 parking space. I was going to plan to develop another parking lot for $1 million cost for another parking lot. However, we saved $1 million because I only park 40 cars a day at a station. I was told last month, Santa Monica 4th Street Station tapped over 200,000 of transactions. So it was a very busy line, but have enough parking space. All 3 stations that we provide parking have very low usage. What I'm trying to get to is actively manage our parking, can we suppress our demand? And recently we also implement some policy that we have. Any permit holder has to use our system more than 10 different calendar days. We're able to identify 500+ people hasn't used our system.
Okay. This person said that they just read that the Expo line does not have enough rail cars to meet the demand because Metro did not order them or follow up on their orders of the correct amount of cars needed, and the riders are already unhappy with the overcrowding. Can you address that?
Yes. It's not that Metro did not order enough cars. We ordered enough cars, but there were some challenges with the startup in Palmdale of the car maker, Kiki Cherio. And those challenges had to do with labor issues, any number, manufacturing issues, any number of issues.